Hi, in this lesson you will review all of the English tenses, 16 of them. This is a quick revision and I'd recommend you watch the complete video to get the big picture of the tenses and how they all fit together. If you want to look at each tense in more detail, then check out the links below. So let's get started. So let's start by looking at the present simple tense. This is used firstly for routines and habits. So for instance, you could say, I play tennis every Friday. This is a routine, something you do every Friday, so you use the present simple tense. Just remember, with the present simple, the one difference is with he, she and it, and you say plays, so don't forget the S. The present simple is also used for permanent situations. So for instance, you could say, I live in Oxford. This is a permanent situation and not one that is likely to change anytime soon. So you use the present simple. Finally, the present simple is used for facts. So water boils at 100 degrees centigrade. This is a fact, so we use the present simple. So the present simple is used for routines and habits, permanent situations and facts. Okay, so moving on to the present continuous. The present continuous is used for something that is happening now. So for instance, I'm having my dinner. It's happening now. The form is the subject plus am, are or is and the ing form of the verb. The present continuous is also used for temporary situations. So you could say, I'm staying with a friend for 2 weeks. This is telling your listener that the situation is not permanent. It's just for 2 weeks. It's a temporary situation. So you use the present continuous. Okay, so now let's look at the past simple. This is used for finished action in the past, and usually there's some kind of time reference included. So for instance, you could say, I lived in London for 5 years, and this means that it's now finished. You're no longer living in London. So with regular verbs, we simply add ed to make it the past simple, as in this case, live is a regular verb, so the past simple is lived. And for irregular verbs, there's a list on my website and you can check out the link down below to get that. There are lots of irregular verbs and you just need to learn them. The past simple is also used for past actions that occur in chronological order. So if you say, here I got up, had a shower and then left for work. These are all past actions in chronological order, in the order in which they happened. So you use the past simple. So now let's look at the past continuous tense. This is used for something that happened before and after a particular time in the past. So for instance, you could say, I was eating dinner at 7 o'clock last night, and from the timeline here you can see you were eating dinner before 7 p.m. and after 7 p.m. So here we use the past continuous. The form is either the past tense of to be, so either was or were, and the ing form of the verb. The past continuous is also used for parallel actions in the past. So for instance, in this case, I was reading while she was making dinner. Here you've got two actions going on at the same time. As you can see from the timeline, the reading is happening at the same time as she was making dinner. So here we use the past continuous. The past continuous is also used for interrupted actions in the past. So here the example is, I was having a shower when the phone rang. So here you can see from the timeline again, I was having a shower over a period of time and it's interrupted by the phone ringing. So it's an interrupted action. So here we use the past continuous for the continuing action, having the shower, and the past simple for the phone ringing. It's also used to show something continued over some time. So for instance, you could say, everyone was singing, or for something that happened again and again. So here, I was practicing every day, 3 times a day. Now let's move on to used to. Used to is used for repeated actions or situations which are no longer true. So here the example is, I used to smoke. In other words, you no longer smoke. It's in the past. Let's now look at the present perfect simple. The present perfect is used for actions or situations happening until now, usually not finished. For instance, I've started reading his latest book. This implies that you've started reading the book at some unspecified time in the past, and you're still reading it now, and you haven't finished reading it, and you will continue reading it in the future. If we look at the timeline, you can see the cross represents starting reading the book, but the impact is on the present. It's on now and into the future as well. The form is have or has plus the past participle. Again, these need to be learnt and can be found on a link down below. The present perfect is also used for life experiences. As this is unfinished time, your life is not over. So you could say, I haven't travelled much, and this is in your life up until now, but maybe in the future you will travel more. So for life experiences, use the present perfect. So the present perfect is also used when a past action has a present result. So in this case, we've got, I've done the shopping. This means you did the shopping in the past, the recent past, and it's completed action, but the result is that you now have food, so it has an impact or result in the present. The present perfect is also used with just, ever, already, yet, and since. So one example that's a very common question is, have you ever? So in this case, have you ever seen a panda? It could be, have you ever eaten snails? Have you ever? It's an expression, and you can say I have, or I've never seen a panda. And all these words are used with the present perfect. Now, moving on to the present perfect continuous. This tense is used to show an action in progress. So in this example, we've got, I've been painting the kitchen. This is why you can see I'm covered in paint. Here we use the present perfect continuous when we want to focus on the activity that is unfinished, and the focus here is on the action of painting. So the action is finished, and you say it in the present perfect continuous. If you'd said, I've painted the kitchen, you're using the present perfect simple, it would mean that you'd finished painting the kitchen. Whereas here we're saying that we still have more to paint. So it's the present perfect continuous. The form is the subject plus have or has been plus the verb in the ing form. The present perfect continuous also talks about how long something has been happening. So here, I've been cooking all morning. The focus is on the unfinished activity of cooking that has taken all morning. It's also used to show something is temporary. So you could say, I usually work in finance, but I've been working on this project for 3 weeks. So here we're implying that it's a temporary situation, that your project is only for 3 weeks and then you'll probably go back to finance. Okay, so moving on to the past perfect simple. This is used to talk about an action or situation which happened before another action in the past. So John rang Mary's doorbell at 8:15, but Mary had already left. Which action came first? Mary left. Then John rang the doorbell. So here we can see on the timeline that Mary left and then John rang the doorbell. So we use the past perfect to talk about an action, here Mary leaving, which happened before another action in the past, here John ringing the doorbell. Here is another example. When Mrs. Brown opened the washing machine, she realised she had washed the cat. Oh no! So looking at the timeline, which action came first? She washed the cat and then she opened the door. So we use the past perfect for had washed, as it comes before the opening of the door. So let's move on to the past perfect continuous. So we use the past perfect continuous to talk about a longer event which took place before another action in the past. So here we have I had been living in Oxford for 2 years, so that's over a period of time, before I bought a flat. So this is a continuous tense and therefore happens over a period of time before another event in the past. So I had been living for 2 years, and on the timeline we can see you were living in Oxford, you had been living in Oxford before you bought the flat. The form here is the subject plus had been plus the ing form of the verb. Okay, now we're going to turn to the future tense in English. In English, there are 4 different ways to talk about the future. So it's often unlike your own language, and that's why it's good to know when to use which. The first future we're going to look at is the will future, and this is used for making decisions at the time of speaking. So when you spontaneously make a decision. For instance, I think I'll make curry for dinner tonight. You haven't planned this, you just spontaneously decided. So notice in spoken English the will is very often contracted to I'll, he'll, we'll, etc. The form is will plus the bare infinitive, that is the verb without to. The will future is also used for predictions based on your opinion, and so is usually used with phrases like I think or something similar. So here we've got an example. I think he'll take the job. It seems to be just what he's looking for. This is a prediction based on your opinion. The will future is also used for facts in the future. So for instance, Alice will be 5 next month. This is a fact, so we use will. Finally, the will future is also used for threats and promises. So I'll send you the information tomorrow. This is a promise. So we use the will future. Another way to talk about the future in English is with going to, and this is used for decisions made before speaking, so plans or intentions. So I'm going to visit Scotland this year. I just need to work out when. This is your plan or intention, something you decided before you speak. So you use going to. The form is going to plus the bare infinitive. The going to future is also used for predictions based on some kind of evidence. So look at those black clouds. I think it's going to rain. This is a prediction because you can see the black clouds. So you have some evidence. So you use going to. The third future we're going to look at is the future with the present continuous. This is sometimes called the diary future, as it's used for arrangements, appointments, things that we could write in our diary, and can only be changed by informing others, so someone else is involved. So for instance, I'm meeting Jackie next Tuesday. Here we have I am, which has been contracted to I'm, meeting Jackie next Tuesday. You have arranged this with Jackie. It's in the diary, and if you wanted to change it, you would have to contact Jackie. So that's the diary future. The final way to talk about the future in English is with the present simple tense, and this is used for schedules and timetables set often by companies or organisations, so maybe transport companies or schools. For instance, the plane leaves at 7 a.m. This is a schedule. So we use the present simple. Now looking at the future perfect simple. This is used when something will be finished by a particular time in the future. So for instance, I will have finished the work by next Friday. If we look at the timeline, you can see next Friday is in the future and you will finish the work before that time. The cross is sometime before next Friday. Next Friday is the latest time when you will finish the work. The form is will have plus the past participle. Often the future simple is used with either by or in, and this means not later than the time. So here's another example of the future perfect simple, this time using in. So I'll have finished in an hour, and then you can use the computer. Looking at the timeline, now it's 1 o'clock, and in an hour it's 2 o'clock. Here you're saying that at 2 o'clock, latest, you will have finished. This is the latest time that you'll finish. You might finish before 2, and this is possible too. So now looking at the future progressive. This is used for something that will be in progress at or around a time in the future. So this time tomorrow, we'll be sitting on the beach. I can't wait. So here on the timeline, you can see that we will be sitting on the beach in the future. Here we're imagining a time in the future when we'll be doing something over a period of time. Remember, it's the continuous form, so it's over a period of time. The form is will be plus ing, the ing form of the verb. The future continuous can also be used to talk about something we assume is happening at the moment, in the present. So don't phone Grandpa, he'll be sleeping. Here we use the future continuous for something we assume is happening now. So finally, we're going to look at the future perfect continuous. We use this tense when we're thinking of ourselves at a time in the future. We're looking back from that time to a duration of an activity. So the activity will have begun sometime in either the past, present, or in the future, and is expected to continue into the future. So here the example we have is in September, I'll have been working at my company for 3 years. We're thinking ahead to September, a future time, and it's in September, we're looking back to over the duration, and you say, I will have been working in the company for 3 years. So on the timeline, you started in the past, it could be the present or the future, and you're looking back at the duration of your work. So remember, a continuous tense looks over a period of time. The form is will have been plus the ing form of the verb. So that's it for today. You've just revised all the English tenses. Check out more videos here and a playlist of all those tenses in more detail. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the link down below. Remember to like and share this video with people learning English, friends and colleagues. They'll thank you for it, and I'll see you very soon. So bye for now. Thanks for watching.